So welcome to my review for Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 1. Feels crazy that we've already finished a season. But yeah, this is the shortest season of the show, so it makes sense that we got through it fairly quickly. I think I started it last month, early in June, and here we are, end of July, and done and dusted with Season 1. So yeah, I have made notes, so I'm going to keep looking down. Apologies. And I'm just going to kind of talk about my general thoughts and observations about the season, talk a bit about some of the characters that stood out for me, do like my favourite episodes kind of thing, top 5, and then go into some tentative predictions for Season 2. Also, I apologise if the lighting is awful, because I don't know what it is today. Anywhere I go in the house, the lighting's been awful, even like my usual usual spot, which is why I'm here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the lighting today, but it's pretty shit. But there we are. Okay, so Season 1. I really enjoyed Season 1. I thought it was an absolute blast. Even in the episodes that maybe weren't as strong or as well liked by most fans, I had fun with them, and I think you kind of need to just laugh along with the episodes you don't like a lot of the time. So yeah, I mean, the way I feel about Season 1 now, that could change as I continue the show. I got so many comments, well, and still do, when I started the show, saying Season 1 is the weakest season, and Season 2 onwards it gets incredible. But you know, I can't share that point of view yet because I haven't seen it. I feel like maybe people think less of Season 1 because they've seen the rest of the show, and I haven't, so I enjoy Season 1 for what I know it to be, because as far as I'm aware, this is what Buffy's always like, because this is Season 1. I don't know how it evolves and changes, so maybe when I do watch Season 2 to 7, I'll look back on Season 1 and say, yeah, that wasn't really very good, was it? But as this is how I know the show to be right now, I think Season 1's really, really good. And definitely more ups than downs throughout the season. Even if the episode wasn't my favourite, I did enjoy it, and I definitely took something away from every single episode, I think. Even if it was just a line or two I really enjoyed, or just a scene or two I found quite funny. I think there was something in every single episode that I enjoyed, even if some episodes, in my opinion, weren't as strong as others. And one thing I did kind of pick up on in terms of like a theme or whatever, I'm not very good at like looking at themes and stuff like that. I don't really delve into things that much until like years and years later when I like have epiphanies, or sometimes I'll just get it. I'll just get maybe what an episode's trying to say, or what a whole season of a show is trying to say. But I think the constant theme of Season 1 of Buffy is kind of the idea of not being able to fit in. And that can be in terms of Buffy and Giles perhaps not fitting into their roles as Slayer and Watcher yet, and just getting used to that. Fitting in at school, which we can all relate to. You know, you may not fit in with the popular crowd, or you may not have many friends, stuff like that. And we didn't just see that with like the main characters, we saw that with side characters like Marcy, for example, in episode 11. And then also not fitting in with romance. Xander being a prime example of this. He's still trying to fit in with Buffy's world, but in terms of the romance, it's not really clicking with Buffy. And then kind of the romance between Angel and Buffy as well. Angel right now doesn't really fit in with Buffy's world, because he's a vampire. she's a vampire slayer. So there are so many different aspects of not fitting in layered throughout the season. And it's kind of tragic, really, that in terms of Xander, the one time he really could fit in with a group, like properly, without making things awkward or anything, was when he was possessed by a hyena. So that's unfortunate, isn't it? Yeah. Moving on from possessed hyenas, although I will be going back to that eventually. I think another word to describe season 1 would be potential, because there was so much potential for great things. I feel like a lot of episodes did take their concepts and do good jobs with them, but I feel like some episodes throughout the season had these incredible ideas and just didn't live up to them. I feel like a lot of the time the idea was better than its execution, which I feel like can be said for a couple of episodes. Mainly maybe the pack being an example of that, and Teacher's Pet being another one. That's not in my top 5, I'm just letting you fucking know now. So yeah, I think it's the potential is one of my favourite things about season 1. So like, oh wow, there's moments of genius here, and if they learn from that as they carry on with the show, boom. And I feel like the fact that there is potential there is kind of why the show got picked up for season 2 and beyond, so it makes sense. I also thought one thing the show's done did really well with this first season is the balance of humour with like emotional beats and emotional moments. Because we have Xander making these quips and stuff like that, which I found quite funny. I know Xander isn't popular with some people, but I really like Xander. I mean, I don't agree with everything he's done, but I still like him a lot. And we had moments of humour with him, but then we have him trying to deal with the fact that he accidentally kills his best friend and he's a vampire. We have this very bizarre concept in the pack, with these people being possessed by hyenas, and yet with that concept, they eat a poor little pig, presumably alive. They eat a principal, still not over that, and then they retain their memories of it when they're fixed, so they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. Which is, again, like the potential. I wish they'd explored that a bit more. Oh, fucking hell. I feel like I wanted the show to explore the consequences of all the episodes a bit more as the show went on, but we never really got that. Which is kind of why I'm looking forward to maybe in future seasons they're not just being like singular stories in every episode. I know there was like an overrunning story this season, but there was more focus on like individual stories than like the main running thread. So yeah, the balance of humour and emotional, I think, worked really well. Even in the finale, we had loads of really emotional scenes with Buffy and then Buffy and her mum, stuff like that. But we also had like running gags with like, I really like your dress, stuff like that. I also thought the show's done really well with some character moments throughout the season. Like their conversation between Buffy, Xander and Willow when they were like laughing about the fact that they're never going to have a normal love life. And you know, they're laughing about it and then suddenly it hits them and they're like, oh. Which was probably my favourite ending to an episode. I really liked that sequence. Also like the story of Marcy in episode 11. The fact that so many people, she was invisible to so many people that she turned invisible. Kind of dark. But it's kind of weird that this show can make you relate to an invisible girl. So there you go. That's got to count for something. And then we also had like moments in the finale. That scene with Buffy and her mum really got to me when Buffy's mum, I believe her name is Joyce, I've heard it somewhere, and she was talking about how she didn't have a date to like the prom or something, but she went anyway and ended up meeting Buffy's dad there. I just felt really bad for her in that moment, thinking, oh, you didn't deserve to not have a date to prom. I mean, I didn't have a date to prom, but I went with all my friends, so it was amazing. And also in the finale, kind of had Xander's journey with Buffy, you know, telling her how he feels getting rejected. I mean, it was always going to go that way, but I still felt really bad for him. Hopefully he can move past that. And also that moment where Buffy says she doesn't want to die, that was very emotional. Sarah Michelle Gellar did great in the finale. Well, throughout the season, really. And also when Willow, I said that really strangely, Willow, sound like Giles, and she saw those dead bodies of her friends or whatever, people she knew, and she was telling Buffy like the vampires like have ruined her world and made her world their own, and I really liked that. So there's a lot of really good character stuff in season 1 that I really, really appreciated, because I am a sucker for character-driven episodes and character-driven stories. So yeah, speaking of character-driven stuff, let's talk about some characters. I've got like a list of some that stood out. Obviously I'm not going to talk about every single character that appeared throughout season 1, because we would be here forever. But yeah, I'll talk about some of the main ones that stood out, be it for good or bad reasons. I think it makes sense to start with Buffy herself. I really like Buffy. I think she's an absolute badass. But I love that she has moments of vulnerability and weakness. She doesn't win every fight easily. She was afraid of dying in the finale. And out of that fear, she kind of quit being the Slayer for a bit. And she kind of, I think she was aware of her limits throughout the whole season, which is something I really appreciated. I think a lot of the characters are very well written in the show. And Buffy is a fantastic lead character to follow. You can really root for her. I was about to say Sarah Jessica Parker, it's Sarah Michelle Gellar. I hoped to God I said Sarah Michelle Gellar earlier. I cannot remember if I did or not, but I mean Sarah Michelle Gellar. She was fantastic throughout the season. I think the whole cast is great. So yeah, Buffy's a very strong lead character, and I really, really like her, and I can't wait to see what journey she's going to go on now, especially because she's had this huge win in defeating the Master. Willow is my precious cinnamon bean. I love her. She's probably my favourite character as it stands. She's just such like a, oh bless her, you know, it's like, oh honey, oh no, oh I want to give you a hug. That's exactly what she's like, and I love those kind of characters. I just find her so lovely, and just so sweet, and I'd want to be her friend. I'd want to make her happy, you know. I really root for her happiness, and she can be helpful in dangerous situations. I think she's getting braver and braver by the episode. She has some good like computer skills, stuff like that, so she's really handy. I love Willow. Xander, I know he's not popular with some people. I think it's definitely I think he's a Marmite kind of character. But I really like Xander. I think he's really funny. A lot of my biggest laughs throughout the season. Oh, you're running away. I'm not editing that out because I don't want to edit this down. Tough, sorry. A lot of my biggest laughs throughout the season came from Xander. Be it his crush on Buffy or just like a sassy remark he made. I think he does kind of bring that humour to the show that we probably need when episodes get really dark. So I feel like he's like a necessary cog in the wheel, if you will. And obviously all my opinions of these characters could change as the show goes on. I might grow to hate them all, but let's hope not. But yeah, I really like Xander, and I'm looking forward to seeing where his story's going to go now. He's hopefully got what he needs to get past this crush on Buffy, because that's kind of been what's defined him in this season. So hopefully we learn a bit more about him. Who's next? Let's talk about Giles. I love Giles. He is sassy. He's got a great voice. I love the way he speaks. He's, I don't want to say unexpectedly brave. He's braver than he appears on the surface, I think. He was willing to face the Master himself, so Buffy didn't have to. When he was like, I think it was episode 5, he was like trapped in a place with what they thought was the Anointed One, and Buffy and Xander were trying to get him out, but he like told them to like run and be safe or whatever. He's very caring. He's definitely shown a lot of affection for Buffy in particular, but also Xander and Willow. And I just think he's really loyal and a genuinely good man, and I really like that. I hope we see a lot more of like his like father-daughter relationship with Buffy, because I think we've kind of seen Buffy has a father. We've seen him. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of him because most of his screen time so far has been like the nightmare kind of thing. But I feel like there is kind of a big absence there for Buffy in terms of like a constant father figure who's always there, and Giles can fill that role, and I hope he does. Angel was kind of one of my biggest hooks when I started the show, because we had no idea what was going on with him. I mean, I was like 99% sure he was a vampire because I have like been exposed to Buffy in the past. I haven't watched anything really, but you kind of pick up on these things, don't you? So yeah, Angel, the mystery of him was a really interesting aspect for me up until episode 7, and we learned a lot more about him, and then luckily he became even more interesting to me when we got to that episode. We find out he's like a vampire, but he got given his soul back, and he had connections to like Darla, and he's in love with a vampire slayer, which doesn't help. I think he was like, what was it, 240 years old or something like that? I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, I think he's a very interesting character. I love that he kind of kept coming back to help out. And I'm very excited to see a bit more of him. Because obviously I am aware he gets his own show. So I'm glad that I like him as much as I do right now. Very interesting. I hope we learn a bit more about him. I'm sure we will. There's plenty of time to learn more about him and his past and stuff like that. So yeah, it was his mystery that kind of made him an interesting character at first, but even when we got a lot of the answers, he remained interesting. So I think that's testament to the character. And also, I'm a big fan of David Boreanaz because I'm a huge fan of Bones. And he's fantastic in Bones, so I think I'm kind of biased in that respect. But yeah, I really like Angel, and I can't wait to see more of him. Buffy's mum, absolute sweetheart. I adore her. I want to see more of her, actually. She seems like a genuinely nice person and a really good mum, and I love the teasers we've got of her relationship with Buffy and how much she cares. She notices when things are wrong, and I hope we see a lot more of her. Shall we save the elephant in the room to last in terms of characters? The two principals we got in the show, I am still rocked to my core by the death of Mr. Bean, aka Principal Flutie. He just seems so nice and genuine. I mean, kind of snobbish at times. But, oh god, he did not deserve to go out the way he went out. My god. That death still makes me feel sick to think about. Like, that must have been a terrifying way to go. Ugh. I mean, I feel like his death is what defines him as a character to me, more than any actual, like, personality traits. But yeah, the poor bastard did not deserve that. That's probably my biggest takeaway of this season, how much episode 6 changed me to my core, because I still think about Principal Fluty's death all the time, and I'm not even joking. Like, I'll be having a whale of a time, like, down the pub or whatever, then suddenly I'll be like, Principal Fluty's dead. He got eaten by hyena-possessed students. And it's just, I actually put my glass down then. I don't fucking have a glass. So yeah. Oh, I just feel so bad for him. I mean, he wasn't like the best character in the world because we didn't really get much of him, but man, what a death. It was probably necessary to show how dark the show could go. So you did good, Flutie, rest in peace. And then obviously his replacement, who came a couple of episodes later, was Principal Snyder, played by Quark from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I mean, he seems a bit of an asshole, but he does have some very funny moments, like in, was it episode 11? 10 or 11? I think it was episode 11 when he was like, don't sue to all these different people. That was really funny. I'm sure we'll see a bit more of him. But yeah, I'm kind of warming to his character a bit now. Now I know he's not like an evil demon or whatever. And then a couple of honourable mentions, shall we say. Let's go into like the more evil characters. This is a fucking long video, isn't it? I'm so sorry. I haven't even got to my top 5 episodes yet. I'm just rambling on. She-Mantis kind of stood out for all the wrong reasons, but I thought I should mention her. I hope we never see anything like that ever again. Let's be honest. It was kind of a ridiculous idea. Just no. Just no. No. She-Mantis, no. I think it could have been done well, it just wasn't executed as brilliantly as it could have been, I think. But yeah, maybe they should just never have bothered with the She-Mantis. Darla, I know she's dead, but I found her quite interesting, and I loved her connection with Angel, and I'm hoping we kind of, I don't even know if Angel's like a prequel or anything, or some of it's a prequel, some of it's like takes place during or after Buffy. But I kind of hope we see Darla in that. I kind of hope there's like a couple of like flashback episodes, because I feel like we'll learn more about Angel in his show than we will in Buffy. So I'd like to see her like pop up in like flashbacks in Angel. Kind of see how they met or whatever. But yeah, I would I hope we get a lot of kind of flashbacks to Angel's past, basically. Because, you know, there's like 240 or so years or whatever that we could explore with him. So I'd like to see him like actually get turned into a vampire, stuff like that. It'd be interesting. But yeah, I kind of pointed her out because she was like the first vampire we saw in the show, the first character we kind of saw in the show. So I liked what we saw of her. Sid the puppet, the demon slaying puppet. Sometimes I think about the puppet show and I'm like, that was the most ridiculous thing. Other times I appreciate what it did and what it was trying to do, and I don't think it's that bad. I still don't think it's that bad. It's not a bad episode. It just doesn't help that I'm fucking terrified of ventriloquist dummies, really. But I just think that twist was so weird. I kind of wish they stuck to the trope of like an evil doll. Unless they invented the evil doll trope, I don't know. Because apparently I'm oblivious to every single thing Buffy creates. Big bad, big bad, big bad. I got like 30 gazillion comments pointing out how wrong I was to say, I don't know if they have big bads or what. I'm a Buffy noob, guys, okay? One comment's enough. Please, leave me alone. I get that they invented the term big bad or whatever. It came from Buffy. I understand. I'm a noob. I don't know these things. You're gonna have to bear with me at moments like that. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway. Sid. Interesting what they did with him. I'll say that and probably leave it at that. But he definitely stood out. I will definitely not be forgetting Sid in a hurry. So kudos for that character, I suppose. I can never remember how to say the name. It's like Moloch, the demon from I, Robot You, Jane. I really liked that episode, okay? I love the idea of like a demon in the computer. I just thought it was a really clever idea, but you know, I'm the only person in the world who thinks that, so that's fine. But I just wanted to mention him because I thought it was kind of a cool idea for a villain. And then of course the big bad, which came from Buffy, the Master. I'm the Master. I will rise up. That's not how he acted. I've liked the Master as a villain. It was kind of a one-note thing, like, I want to escape to the surface and rule the world. Evil, I'm evil, because I want to rule the world. So it's kind of underwritten in that aspect, but I do understand that I think the whole of the first season was kind of written quite quickly, because it was a last-minute replacement for a show that got cancelled mid-season. So, kind of understandable where they came from with that. And I think that's kind of why I'm forgiving overall for season 1. Because it's still pretty fucking a good fucking effort. If they had to rush this out. So, you know. I thought the Master looked really cool, and I think he did his job, you know. He was a pretty serviceable villain. I liked seeing him on screen. I kind of wish we got a bit more of him, really. But yeah, I liked his confidence that he'd get the job done, even though he got to the surface and died like 2 minutes later. But you know, that's okay. I mean, he did achieve his goal, so there you are. I mean, he didn't rule the world, but he did escape, so good job. Good job, Master. Yeah, as like the main villain of season 1, if you will, I think he was pretty cool, so yeah. I don't think we'll see him again by any means, and I don't think we should, but, you know, he played his part and did it well. Okay, now we will get into my favourite episodes of the season. I was going to kind of do a top 5, and I still have done that, but I do have a couple of honourable mentions. I cannot talk. The first one being Witch, which was episode 3. I thought it had a lot of interesting ideas going on, but I really wanted to mention it because it had one of my favourite endings of an episode, aside from the whole Buffy, Xander, Willow talk about love lives. When we kind of saw that the evil witch mum, whatever, had been trapped in like that statue of her or whatever. Really dark ending, and I really, really liked that. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, that I enjoyed that episode. And my second honourable mention, this was so close to making the top 5. I almost wish it had. And honestly, it was between this and number 5, could kind of be interchangeable, but it's I, Robot You, Jane. I really like this episode. I thought it was really fun. And it's absolutely hated by everyone, and I fucking loved it. I loved the villain, I loved the focus on Willow. I just thought it was a really interesting idea, and I liked Miss Calendar. Did I mention Miss Calendar? I forgot to mention Miss Calendar in my characters, didn't I? I really liked Miss Calendar. I thought she was cool. There you go. That's my summary of her. I just realised. Suck. Yeah. So, I really liked I, Robot You, Jane. I thought it was a really fun little episode. I mean, it's not the best episode of the season by any means, and it's not that deep, but I just thought it was a lot of fun. And you know what happened? Was his name Dave? What happened to Dave was pretty fucking dark. When he was like, the demon thing was like reading out the suicide note. That was kind of terrifying. But yeah, I have a lot of love for that episode. I will rewatch that in a heartbeat. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, anyway, let's get on to the top 5. But honestly, 5 and I, Robot You, Jane could have been swapped quite easily. But number 5 on the list for me is The Pack. Far from my favourite episode, but the more that time's gone on, the more I've appreciated what it was trying to do, and the more I appreciate how dark it went. And I think it's kind of the subtext and the themes behind The Pack that made it a good episode. Because it starts out with a kind of ridiculous concept, but the episode won me over as it carried on and sold me on it, and I was invested in that. And yeah, Principal Flutie, man. Still can't get over it. So yeah, I think what The Pack was trying to say about like bullies or, you know, gangs, if you will. Stuff like that, like bully culture. That was quite something. And it kind of feels like it should be on the nose, but for me it wasn't. I just wish it had a bit more repercussions outside of just Flutie dying. I wish we'd seen a bit more of like Xander and those other kids like dealing with what they did. But yeah, it went quite dark. You know, Xander kind of sexually assaulted Buffy, so, you know, there we are. A surprisingly dark episode that emerged from a really ridiculous kind of concept, but they made it work, and I really, really appreciate that. And I definitely think of it more fondly now than I did when I first watched it. So number 4 on the list of my top 5 is Out of Mind, Out of Sight. That's the right around, isn't it? Yeah. Which is episode 11. I loved Marcy's story as like a villain. I mean, she took it a bit too far, but I felt really bad for her for like the majority of the episode. And I love the idea of what happened to her to turn her invisible. And then we had that whole thing with the FBI at the end. Well, if it is the FBI, but she's going to be like changed to be like a, quite literally like a silent, invisible assassin. So yeah, I thought it was a really kind of clever idea behind that episode. It was one I could really relate to in terms of like the loneliness and stuff like that. And how like Buffy used to be popular. I like that insight we got to her and her past. So there's a lot I really, really enjoyed about that. And I felt like out of all the episodes in season 1, I think that was the one I could find myself relating to the most. So that's why it's number 4. Number 3 on the list is Nightmares, episode 10. I really loved the idea behind it, and again, it was a really clever idea of how... What was the boy's name? I can't remember, but how that little boy's story played out, and his kind of nightmares were like spreading all across the local area. I really liked that. Vampire Buffy was awesome. I loved Giles kind of seeing Buffy's graves and kind of assuming it was his nightmare that he'd let her down. I loved that. We got a lot of really good insights into the characters with that episode, and as I mentioned, I love the character-driven stuff. I love finding out about characters. So I really, really liked that aspect of it in particular. And I also like how the main villain of the episode really was an arsehole coach who thought it was okay to, you know, beat a kid half to death. So I love that it was just like a human really who was the villain of that story. I love the emotion behind the appearance of Buffy's dad in that episode as well. I thought it worked really, really well. That was definitely one of the most kind of stellar episodes of the show so far. Kind of a really genius concept, and I think they executed it as well as the idea itself is good anyway. Number 2, and what was number 1 for the longest time, is Angel, which I loved because we finally got a lot of the answers I was seeking, and the answers made the character even more interesting, which I think is a hard thing to do. Answering a question and still having the question itself remain interesting, if you will. Very hard thing to do, but I think they pulled it off really well. I loved the kind of tragedy with Buffy and Angel's relationship. I loved the idea of a vampire with a soul. I love that we got kind of a connection to Darla with that episode. I loved Buffy and Angel kind of wrestling with their feelings, considering they shouldn't really be together. Everything like that I thought was really, really cool, and I found myself really invested in everything that was going on in that episode. So yeah, I really, really liked it. I just found it interesting. There's an episode of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and yet we kind of knew Buffy was never going to slay this vampire. So I found that quite interesting. Like, it's the title of the show, and yet that's not always what Buffy is. So I find that quite interesting. And then number 1 is, of course, Prophecy Girl, which was episode 12, the finale. I don't think anything was going to top Angel, but then the finale came along and it was so good. There was loads of amazing action sequences. There was loads of really cool character beats. A lot of emotion behind it. It was funny. That scene where like the theme tune kicks in and she's like walking up to the school and whatever. Loved it. I think I've just remembered that I didn't actually go back to the elephant in the room character, but I'll get back to that now. And I think, of course, I joke when I say the main reason it's number 1 is because I liked Cordelia in the episode. But yeah, I think the elements of the season came together really, really well in that finale. Made me laugh and it made me tear up a lot. It tied up everything it needed to, but left loose ends open for like the future in a really, really good way. I loved Angel interacting with everyone. I loved Angel and Xander kind of teaming up. I love how Buffy was brave enough to like face her death and win the day. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was an amazing way to end the season. And yeah, as I mentioned, I liked Cordelia. I can't remember talking about Cordelia in my character thing. I think I forgot to go back to her. But yeah, I think what defines my relationship with Buffy season 1 is my relationship with Cordelia. She's an utter bitch. I don't like her. I'm warming to her a lot. After the last kind of 2 episodes, I see that there is a chance that I will grow to really like her. And throughout episodes 1 to 10, I would never have thought that possible. So I suppose that's something. Is it Charisma Carpenter? Is that the actress's name? I think she's always been really good, along with the whole cast, really. But I like that they're starting to dive away from Cordelia being like a one-note bitch. She can't really blame me for disliking her in season 1, for the most part. It was only really the last 2 episodes where she became a 3-dimensional character. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with her, which I can't believe I'm saying. But yeah, still not a fan of her as a person by any means, but I think the character's good. My god, I rolled my eyes so many times throughout the season watching Cordelia, but there we are. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with her in the future. Also, speaking of what I'm excited for in the future. I've got a few comments asking for like my predictions for season 2. Honestly, I don't really know what the fuck's gonna happen. I don't have a lot to go on really. I think I never thought they'd like directly address Xander's crush on Buffy. I thought that would be something that just like goes away, or he like always has a thing for her. But they addressed it head on in the finale. So I think now that's allowing Xander to move forward as a character, and that will stop him being held back by a crush. And I feel like it's Willow's turn now. So I feel like in season 2 they're gonna like address Willow's crush on Xander. I don't know if Xander will ever find out about it. I don't know if Willow will just deal with it on her own, but I feel like she needs to kind of get over that in season 2 and to move on to pastures new, kind of like Xander has to do now. He's, you know, he knows how Buffy doesn't feel about him. It'll either be that or Willow and Xander like get together, which I'm not sure I want to happen. I'm not sure would happen, because I don't think Xander feels that way about her, at least not now. But I feel like I much prefer them being... I feel like I much prefer them being just really good friends. So yeah, I think they'll hopefully address that. I believe we'll get more of Miss Calendar, because she kind of felt at home with the main group in the finale. So I feel like she could be part of the group now, I don't know, but I feel like we'll see more of her. We'll absolutely get more of Angel. I mean, I know we will because he gets his own show, but I feel like we'll get a lot more of him in season 2 than we did in season 1. I feel like he could like show up in most of the episodes, whereas he was only in like half of this season really. And then of course, finally, my main prediction for season 2 is that the big bad will be the She-Mantis. She will return from the dead and wreak havoc on everyone. So yeah, season 2 will be the season of the She-Mantis. I'm 100% certain that's going to happen. But yeah, I think I've rambled on enough about season 1. Let's just check how long this video has been. 42 minutes, holy fuck. Oh god, I've only got 6 minutes left of camera, so I don't have a room in my camera, so I don't really have a lot of room to talk anymore. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I have to drag that on for so fucking long. Oh, that's a fucking episode of Buffy. You could have watched an episode instead of listening to me ramble on about this shit. Fucking hell, I'm so sorry. I meant this to be like 20 minutes at most. Oh well. But yeah, those are my thoughts on season 1 of Buffy. I really enjoyed season 1. I had an absolute blast with it, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen with season 2 and beyond. My camera's making a really weird kind of... What is that? Go away. There we go. It started locking onto my face, I think, which I don't want it to do, because no one should lock onto this face. But yeah, I had a blast watching season 1. I really, really did enjoy it, and I very much look forward to seeing what season 2 and beyond is going to bring, because you guys have just been hyping the hell out of it. So if I enjoyed season 1 as much as I did, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the future. I can hear my voice going, my throat is so dry, and now I know why, because I've been talking for 42 minutes. Oh, and my camera's even telling me, you need to shut up now, because you've only got 4 minutes left of footage. So yeah, that is season 1 of Buffy. Really enjoyed it. I don't know if you agree or disagree with a lot of my thoughts, but you know, that's the beauty of TV. Everyone's opinions are different. So yeah, I'm very excited to get into the second season of Buffy. And thank you all so much for your kind of support and likes and comments and shares and subscriptions and stuff like that on my season 1 reactions. It's been an absolute blast, and I can't wait for the journey to continue. But yeah, season 1 of Buffy, over and done with. I really, really did enjoy it, and it seems the only way is up. So yeah, very exciting. Thanks for watching.